Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast, where in this episode, apparently Casual is pissed about something. So let's find out about what.
Welcome to the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast. Now here's a bald guy and some Indian.
Hey, Casual, how are you?
I'm pissed. As I said, I'm pissed. What the fuck was that? Deflated is the right word. I mean, I've used this word a few times because a lot of people ping me about what happened, and almost to everyone I've said deflated. That was not. I don't like it when things like this happen.
I'm going to assume you're talking about McLaren's team orders, right? Or are you
No,
pissed off about
Max
Max
Verstappen winning.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. It's the whole thing with McLaren because that's not fun. That's just not fun.
Yeah.
Should we start with that or should we start with...
No, I think we start with that, right?
Yeah.
Let's start with the negative. That's what we should be doing. That's how the media works now, so we should join them. Yeah, look, I think my takeaway from that was just, like, as I said straight after it happened in a tweet, it was like, I think that was the wrong call and the wrong way to handle this, because I very much have loved up until this point, like, how they've been handling it, which is, like, the two teams are kept, like, separate sides of the garage, and essentially, like, they can call their own strategies, and they decided to, like, come in second instead of, like, going in first, and basically just got poor luck of a bad pit stop, and that was that, like, you know. The team shouldn't be getting involved. I can kind of see the thinking is essentially like, well, the pit crew, not the strategy team, like not either side or the drivers caused the issue. So technically the team caused the issue. But for me, it's like, well, that's just poor luck though. Like that will happen. Yeah. And that's just like tough shit, you know? Like if you want to keep it fair, it's just, this is the way we run things, you know? So, but now they've put them in a position where if there's a bad pit stop and they're racing for the win next race, like they're going to have to do the same thing for Piastri. And I think it was a bit odd to call out like Hungary last year as well, because it was just like, what are you talking about? You know, like, I don't know. I didn't like it. I think it was a step too far in what has otherwise been, as far as I'm concerned, a very well thought out running by McLaren of actually letting the drivers fight, because strategy is very much part of a title fight regardless, and allowing them to do their own strategies I thought was brilliant. Like we don't normally get that, so I thought that was great. This was a step too far. This was like proper intervention in something, in my mind.
I don't think the drivers have any power over McLaren. I think this is probably the biggest example of that, and I think I think the championship that we are having this time, it is so unprecedented, because it's not. I don't think I've seen a world championship where a driver has no leverage over the team while the team has all the leverage over the driver.
Yeah.
And we've seen a few championships where teammates have been involved. You know, be it the Mercedes case, like 14, 15, 16, or be it before that you had Red Bull with Vettel, Weber, McLaren 2007, and so on. The problem here is that neither of the two are actually the world champions. So they've not had an established career yet. So it just seems that McLaren has them, for the lack of a better word, McLaren has them by the balls.
Yeah.
Where either they stick to the party line or they are easily disposed of. Because look, they are easily disposed of. If you remove an Oscar Piastri from the team, Lando Norris is the world champion. And if you remove Lando Norris from the team, Oscar Piastri is the world champion. And they have, I'd say, almost a ready-made replacement available as well. There's Alex Turn, who's sitting in the sideline, or maybe, if possible, maybe bring back Gabriel Bortoleto, who was, or is, I don't know, McLaren Junior. So once you have these many talents in the pipeline, you hold all the cards. The drivers don't, and this level of stage managing, it becomes irritating.
Yeah.
What if, okay, so this time around they've done this particular thing. Next time around the McLaren setup goes wrong for one car. What do they do then?
Yeah. It's just, this to me is just like, I don't know. this is, like I said, it's just a step too far because, like in normal, like if this was Max versus Lando, for example, like shit like this happens. You have a bad pit stop, you get unlucky. You know, it's part of the game, and to artificially like reverse that just seems like a step too far. Like when people were calling about the strategy in Hungary, I was like, no, that's fine. Like one side of the garage called a strategy, the other side of the garage tried to play against it, and it worked out for Lando. Like that's part of F1. But like likewise, if in Hungary they had done that strategy and you know Norris had got caught out by a bad pit stop or whatever, and they had called this back, it would have been like, no, that's a step too far. This is just, I don't know, it just, I get the reason is like the pit crew works for both drivers, so it's not like part of the independent kind of two sides of the garage that they've set up that can work against each other. So the thinking is like this is one where the pit crew needs to be even for both drivers, and it wasn't this time, so we're going to even that out. Like I understand the thinking, I just think it's a step too far, and I think it causes a situation where
There's
like
a wrong precedent, isn't it?
yeah,
What
like
they've done is they've set a wrong precedent.
yeah, because like if we got like say this is a really close one where they do come down on like even points in Abu Dhabi, I think it's unlikely, but like say that's the case, like do you call a championship on like like Norris was technically ahead and had a bad pit stop, and there's now like 3 laps left or whatever, like do you invert them? Because the problem then is we know that like if they even had got good pit stops there, they probably would have come out like alongside, like close enough to each other anyway to fight.
No. The
No,
gap
actually,
would
they
have been
wouldn't have.
there.
It would have been 4 seconds, right? 3 seconds. But yeah, I don't know. It was so close to the end. I think making that call was like Piastri was never going to be able to fight back anyway. It was just too close to the end. I don't know. It just seems too artificial. I think the strategy thing was the line for me. I think that was great. Like I love that they got to
Yeah.
call their own strategies, because strategy, like Formula One races are so often won on strategy. So I think it's unfair. Like people were saying they should be on the exact same strategy. I was like, I think that's unfair, because then you're making it a qualifying championship. Like they should be allowed to deviate in strategy. That should be fine. Going past that though, this is a line for me. I don't know. I
My
don't like
worry
it.
is, yeah, my worry is where does it end? Because you've this is the beginning of a chain reaction which they didn't need to do, right? Because
They could.
the thing
The
is,
key argument here was just that happened. Should have just came on the radio, same as in Hungary last year, was my opinion, and said, "Look, sorry, man. Like he got the undercut, or sorry, you had a bad pit stop. Like, we'll make up for it next time. Like, we'll
I
do a
think what
better
it
job."
seemed, I think what appeared to be the case is that on the other side of things, it would have been a case of Lando Norris feeling slighted, because there could have easily been and yeah, and I think that is also maybe something that we should address. I mean, everyone is going to address the fact that they did this, they tried to reverse the position. There's the other side of the equation where what if they didn't? And I think that is also worth exploring, because if they hadn't done that, next time around Lando would not have had faith in McLaren in any which way. Because what happened here was, just to cover off Charles, they basically pitted Oscar first. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense to pit Oscar first,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
pitting Oscar first is giving him the undercut over Lando. They did that so that they can secure
The
both
undercut.
P2
Sorry.
and P3. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So that's the whole reason. Next time around, what is going to happen is, when they are going to reach a critical stage and they're going to tell Lando that first we're going to pit Oscar and then we're going to pit you, he's going to say, fuck off, I'll be the first to pit.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
that case, they lose the leverage that they have right now. So
I,
that's the situation that they box themselves
They
in.
also
And
boxed
again,
themselves in on the radio, right? Because it was like Norris literally said, like, unless he's going to get the undercut, and they were like, "There's no undercut threat." So I don't know.
and there wasn't the
There wasn't.
undercut threat wasn't there because the gap was 4 seconds. 4 seconds
Unless
means
you have
there's
a
still
6 second pit stop. In which case,
yeah, that's why they covered it up. And okay, fine, maybe you've kept the relationship fine for now. It's just that this is going to open the door for stuff like what happened with Oscar, if you remember. And again, this that particular message, it kind of got swept by the wayside. But remember in Silverstone, where Oscar requested that they switch places with Lando after the penalty, because even they thought the
yeah,
penalty was unfair.
yeah,
that's going to be a discussion. That's going to be an open discussion in the future. And
Yep.
the thing is, the closer it gets to the point where the championship is at stake, this is going to become a bigger and bigger thing. Yeah, there was,
Jolyon Palmer
and
actually called that out on the live commentary, by the way.
which part?
What you just said about Silverstone. He
Yeah,
was like, if I was Oscar Piastri, I'd be going in and saying, well, why didn't you reverse things in Silverstone, given we knew
yeah,
that was unfair and out of my
yeah,
control, you know?
yeah,
And
exactly.
like, it becomes a fair point because Silverstone, I don't
To an
think they should
extent,
have been
yes.
reversed. But yeah, like
Yeah, yeah.
Silverstone, I don't think they should have been reversed. But you could make the same argument if you're Oscar that, well, Silverstone was out of my control. We all thought it was a stupid penalty. So why didn't you
Yeah,
give
but
me a
that
hand
was
now?
not a
It's not on
McLaren
McLaren.
could come back.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
That's the point.
But it now means they're going to have to basically put it this way. They've now boxed them into a situation where they're going to have a conversation after this with not only Oscar, but surely Mark Webber as well. And they're going to have a conversation now about, okay, well, what is the line here? Like you've just said that you're going to give team orders. So now we need to make sure we know what the line is here because Oscar didn't seem exactly happy about the situation, which means it doesn't sound like they'd had this conversation before for this sort of circumstance. So they're going to
That's
have
the
that
thing.
conversation now.
Yeah, that's the problem here is that, and as I said, it just circles back to the whole thing that who has the leverage, and I think drivers have zero leverage here. Neither of them have the leverage to do what Lewis did in Hungary 2014, where
Yeah.
he basically disregarded whatever team orders were given, or in Abu Dhabi 2016 as well, where he held Rosberg hostage to a certain extent and continuously, whatever team orders were given, he completely ignored them. Or Vettel, the Malaysia 2013, where multi 21,
Yeah.
he's not in, neither of them, neither Oscar nor Lando are in a position to do something like that.
No.
And that's the problem. Neither of them, because neither of them have stamped their authority over their rival in any
I,
which
I
way,
I do think
isn't it?
McLaren probably got lucky today though in that um,
Of course.
Lando well I mean in that Lando had the DNF last race because I think if it was closer like maybe not to that extent but like if it was closer if Lando had have won in that
Was
race right
16
and
points
if it
behind
was nine
instead of
points
34.
like nine
Yeah.
points if he had a swung it back last week for example I don't like. I think that would have been a much harder conversation where I think Piastri probably was annoyed, but in the context of things, is like right. It's 3 points. How much do I want to make my case here, or do I want to try and use this to my
Play
advantage
the
later
long
on?
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's 9 points, that's a third of your points lead, like gone. So, I wonder like if it was 9 points after last weekend, is Oscar pushing back a bit more because it's then like a, you
They,
know,
yeah, they can push, but for how the thing is,
yeah, yeah.
till
I know what you
how
mean.
far you can actually take this thing, right? That's the biggest problem for both of them because they don't have.
Well, you say they
Yeah,
can't, but
maybe.
I don't know. I think like at the moment I think if Oscar keeps this lead and keeps pushing the way he is, because Oscar has been kind of relatively better. I know Norris was ahead here today, but generally speaking, Oscar has been the better driver. Like
Yeah,
I
but it's
think if we get to the
marginal,
point where
isn't it?
we're sure, but I think if we get to the point where Oscar continues to kind of increase his lead and it's like going into the last couple of races, it's 40 points. I think Oscar like nothing happens. I think this becomes a real issue if we get to like the last three races and for some reason things have flipped and like Norris is hunting down and it's like it's within 10 points again say I could see Oscar in that situation being like no I'm winning this championship like that's the point where I
Yeah,
can
but
see
yeah, of
Norris I don't
course,
know so much you know but,
of course, but that is still much later case, isn't it? For me, the worry is,
but that's when it could get problematic right if because they've now set the
I think
precedent of
it can
making these
get
calls.
problematic if in the next race you have an Oscar DNF. It becomes problematic then. They are what, 31 points separated
Yeah,
right now.
I believe
So
so.
by
Yeah.
by then they'll be, if one DNF, and it could happen easily, it could happen, right?
Yep.
Because look, the way both Max and Leclerc are driving right now, they are not shy of an incident. They're
Yep.
basically putting their car in places where the McLaren duo have to basically practice caution. That's
And we've got another
the
power track next as well. So that's two back-to-back
Baku.
power tracks.
Yeah.
So,
There's a lot of things that could actually, and the thing is, this is the first time in a championship battle where you just don't the alpha is the team. It's not the drivers, and drivers are basically just playing their part. And this is a bit, and again, this is just a bit deflating for me because either of them would win the championship, and again, they'll deserve it. But it's like none of them have stamped themselves on the F1 grid the way I would have expected them to. And I
Yeah.
don't think either of them can. If after 16 races there's nothing to choose between the two of them. It's what, less than a tenth, I'd say, in terms of qualifying or races, nothing.
It's to
And
be
once that
expected though,
is,
right? Because we normally every single time, like the last time we had well, even then, I was going to say the last time we had a championship season where there was like no world champion fighting for the title was 2010, but it wasn't because it was
no, no.
2009, right? Because Hamilton and Alonso
Yeah, Hamilton,
were
Kimi,
both.
Alonso, they were not in contention.
No, but in 2010 they were. And then in 2011, obviously, Vettel was a world champion. So 2009 is the last time we've had a situation like this where no matter which one wins, they're a new world champion. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah, it's strange that they're at the same team. And, like, this is a team where, like, as you said, neither of them have that overriding authority. You know? Like, it's not like like in 2009, you had very much, like, you know, Button just became the clear leader at
Yeah, he won 6 of the
Braun.
first 7 races, and then it was just
Yeah.
cruising.
So, yeah, this is a strange situation. I'm trying to think when the last time we had anything like this was, but it's a long time ago, I would imagine.
96, you can say.
Probably so, yeah.
Hill versus Villeneuve.
Yeah.
And even
Probably.
that was a shitty championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've literally done too much of milk toast. They've dumbed it down too much. That's the problem. Yeah, anyways.
Look, like I said, on the plus side, at least we get a new world champion, and I know a lot of people dislike Norris, but I think both of them are likable guys. I'm not annoyed at either of them. I'm annoyed at McLaren. I just think this is a step too far. You know, I just
Yeah.
think it's just a step
Yeah.
too far.
Oh yeah, it seems to be the case, right? And I don't think other than probably Max at Red Bull, there's anyone else who can actually assert himself in the team, or maybe Alonso at Aston Martin.
Alonso at
These,
Aston definitely could. The only problem is the other driver is the boss's son, so that doesn't help.
yeah, but these are the only two drivers that can actually assert themselves within their
Yeah,
teams, and other than them, there's everyone
because
is
Ferrari,
basically
it
being.
should be Leclerc, but Ferrari don't take orders because they're Ferrari, unless you have like a Schumacher. So
Yeah. That's why they
Mercedes,
don't win.
Mercedes maybe, but I don't know. You know, at the moment.
Yeah, I'll get to that as well because Toto is starting to piss me off. That's why I said I'm pissed. This is a pissed podcast.
Well, let's get to a better thing for the moment then. Anyway.
Yeah, let's talk about
Pierre Vacher
Red Bull.
dominance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Because that pissed off a lot of people apparently. Because facts hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, brilliant drive.
Amazing.
From Max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
That was
given he was
dominant.
driving a car that I've been told over the last couple of days was slower than an F3 car. And Yuki Tsunoda is
Oh
proof of that.
boy, yeah. Yeah.
Which I was going to get into some rants and then I decided not to because I was like, surely the fact that Yuki, who we know is a decent driver, is driving it slower than an F3 car does not prove that it is slow. It proves that it is specifically built for Max Verstappen's liking. Like, that is proof of that, in my opinion. I know people won't agree with that, but that is proof to me
Yeah.
because
I mean,
because Tsunoda is not an F3 driver. Like, Tsunoda is a quick driver when he wants to be. So, I don't know. But
and he's
nonetheless,
not 7/10 slower than Max
no,
Verstappen.
no, he's
Yeah.
slower than Max, but it's not 7/10. Like,
Yeah,
so
At some point, we have to understand.
it's just the car is, they've boxed themselves into a window, as I keep saying, where the car is specifically tailored to Max's unique driving style. And I just hate that people take that as an insult. And it's like, no, like, it's incredible that he can put, like, they can build a car that is that tricky to drive and that difficult to extract in that limited a window, and Max every single fucking time will pull the best out of it. It's impressive. But for some reason,
Yeah.
people are like, no, he has to be able to change physics. It's like, this is a straight line circuit. He can't do much other than drive the car. Like, there is like 3 or 4 turns where he can put his magic in. And in those sectors, the McLaren were faster. So it's all the straight lines, which means it's the car, not Max. So fuck off. But nonetheless, Max had to extract that, and it was incredibly fucking impressive.
And I think he also had a role to play with the setup as well. I mean, the
Yeah.
Telegraph reported, right? So
And the fact
there
that he
was
was able
some,
to push on the tires the entire race without,
and
you know,
that thanks to Pirelli, and
yeah.
no thanks to Pirelli, by the way, no thanks to Pirelli for being utterly
This is
useless
one
at times.
track where everybody and their mother knows it's going to be a DRS train. Like, bring the softest possible tires you can and
I mean,
put
yeah,
puncture marks in them.
okay, I can understand they don't bring the softest
They
tires
should.
because the cars reach around 360,
Yeah,
370.
that's fine.
That's one of
They've
the
got
reasons.
cages, safety cells. It's fine. They'll be fine.
Yeah, maybe making at least a step softer. At least last season we had a two stopper in as one of the strategic options. This time we didn't even have that. So great job, Pirelli. I think first of all credit to Max, cause look, you give him a car that is in contention to win the race, and he will get it done. That's what he does, and that's what makes him the best in Formula One.
Yeah.
At the same time, however, I think there's one thing we need to give credit. I think that goes to Pierre Vache, and he deserves a lot of credit for this. Last year, and I think this was one of the major reasons why in the preview, before the race in the previous pod, I had specifically said that I expected Red Bull to struggle here. And one of the reasons was last year on low downforce circuits, they were dog shit.
Yep.
Max Verstappen on this particular track was 7 tenths off pole position to Lando Norris, who he beat this time around. Last year, 12 months back. This time around, within 12 months, they've improved the car to such an extent that they've closed down that 7 tenths gap and basically made it an eight tenth turnaround within 12 months.
It's insane.
And this is entirely, and this is not Adrian Newey in any which way. It's not a case of one of his hair probably was left in Milton Keynes and they used the magic from that
Well,
to
we don't
extract
know
this
that.
performance.
Like,
Yeah,
allegedly. Yeah.
allegedly. It's not that. Even in the race, I think he finished 20 seconds ahead. Last
19,
year, he
yeah.
was 38, 39, around 40 seconds behind. So it's a 60-second turnaround within 12 months. That's brilliance. That's the kind of brilliance which look, Formula One is not.
Look,
You don't
that's
expect
all
that in
Max
general.
Verstappen, though. It's not. No one else
Yeah,
is designing the car. It's all Max Verstappen. That car is just still the same car from last year. It's just Max
yeah,
is now driving faster. It's just last year he wasn't bothered driving fast. That's what.
exactly. Even though
That's what
last year he
happened.
was in the championship
Yeah,
battle,
yeah,
and this time around
yeah,
he isn't.
yeah,
And that's the thing. And this is honestly, fans piss me off, but I think it's even more that some of the partisan media, they piss me off even more because none of them have realized this thing. A lot of fixation on one stupid detail that Max was in favor of going with a particular wing and Pierre Vache was in favor of going in a different direction. So just because Max went in that direction and he was correct, it means Pierre Vache sucks.
yeah.
And this is particularly used to negate all the effort and all the improvement that the car has made. And I think this is where, at least as fans, we do disservice a lot of it because the technical team, when there is success, the technical team gets none of the accolades. But
Yeah.
when the things go wrong, they are the first to be shat on. And I think that's pathetic because F1 is basically a technical sport. When drivers are, they're basically within a
This
couple of tenths
this
of
is
each
the
other,
problem,
and
isn't
we
it? Like,
don't give credit to the people who actually matter.
this is the
Yeah,
problem, and this is what annoys me about fanboys most of the time, which is in a day like today, essentially, it's all, oh, it's all Max Verstappen. Look at what he did, and what he did is incredible. Like, I'm not trying to negate that. What he did was absolutely fucking spectacular. It's why he's like a generational talent and the best driver since Schumacher. But when a day like today happens, it's all like, wow, I can't believe Max drove that tractor all the way up there. And then, like, say we get to Singapore and he's out of the points, they're like, well, the car was shit. What can Max do with it? And it's like, well, you can't, it has to be both ways. Like, either the
yeah,
car is good and that's like, either when Max like does well, it's him. So when he does shit, it's also him, or the car has a big part to play. Like, you can't just
yeah,
go, well, it's Max when he's good and it's the car when he's shit. Like, it
yeah.
doesn't work. But that
Doesn't
is the
work
way
that way.
that's the way it just always
And I
works.
think, and it also pisses because no one is giving Pierre Vache any kind of credit,
No.
and everyone was so quick to shit on him when the car went bad, so quick.
Yeah.
And you see all these, I mean, Sky F1 TV or the race for that matter, or anyone, name any of these publications, all of them were so quick to shit on these guys. None of them have spoken a word in favor of the person who has actually turned things around. It's not Adrian Newey this time
The
around. You
main
cannot use
day-to-day
him
guy
as a
as well.
person.
This guy
And
is the
even though,
main day-to-day guy for the 2023 car as well. Like,
yeah,
it's not like Adrian Newey is spectacular, and he gave like the high-level concept for what they need to do in terms of the suspension and so on. But the guy who actually brings that performance to the track day to day was Pierre Vacher, even in 2023. So, like, again, as you said as well, like, it's just one of those things where, like, Pierre Vacher and his team, they built the 2023 car, right? 2024, he was still in charge of the 2024 car. And because McLaren caught up, all of a sudden it's shit. And everyone just immediately forgets all of the good work that was done. And by the way, as you said, sure, Max picked the right wing to go with.
yeah,
Pierre Vacher and his team designed both of those wings. So it's not like Pierre Vacher designed the wing that wouldn't have worked,
I mean,
and Max
even
and
if,
Jos were in the background designing the wing that did work. Like
yeah,
Pierre and his
even
team
if,
built both
leave
of
that
those
aside,
wings.
even if Max was finishing second or third, and he's within 5 seconds of
Still incredible.
McLaren or whoever wins,
Yeah.
it's still a remarkable turnaround. But I can expect fans to be this way, but when you can say your credible voices in Formula One, they don't speak about these things. It just shows how shallow and how surface level a lot of the punditry is.
It's
That's the
because they're just
problem.
looking for
And
narratives. Because the actual,
yeah,
the problem is like there's just they know most of the fans are just driver fans, and the
yeah,
driver fans essentially like I said, when Max has an amazing weekend, he gets all the credit. But when Max has a bad weekend, it's all the car and team, and that
yeah,
is an easier narrative for people to follow. So then the media just follow the same narrative, and they just
exactly.
pile on. Instead of like
Yeah,
going, well, he could have done better this weekend, or what I've been saying, which is that was the limit of the car at this weekend, and Max got it. It's not that Max is
yeah,
making the car faster, because if he is, then why does he not bother making it faster some weekends? Like,
yeah.
it's a team effort, and this sport is about the team. It's 90% the team and car every weekend.
And that is exactly why you, the viewer, hit like, subscribe if you haven't already, drop a comment, and appreciate, because these are the things the mainstream people are not talking about, and they should.
Yeah.
Tag them, tag all those people in the comment section and tell them to do their job, to do a better job.
Yeah, but anyway, just to
Yeah,
summarize, incredible drive by Max, incredible qualifying first of all, and like just they clearly went with less wing and a trickier setup to drive, and as usual, Max is still able to extract the limit
yeah.
because he's just incredible. Yeah, amazing drive, but yeah, Pierre Vacher definitely needs some credit there, and well, a
Well,
lot
by the
of
way,
credit.
Red Bull gives them Red Bull. Who was the person standing next to Max on the podium? It was Pierre Vacher, because Red Bull recognizes what he's done,
Yeah.
and that is the most important thing. At least the team recognizes what's going on. And by the way, m- another thing that maybe a lot of people are not talking about. So, is does this win go down as a product of the changes that Lauren Macias has made?
No, they would no, no.
Explain. First, you go ahead and explain.
I
Then
mean, like this would have been the exact same situation most likely if Horner was still there. Like, the team that built this car and put it together was built under Horner. So what I want to see is what Mekies can do over the next year. But like the same people are calling the strategy, the same people are bringing the wings and stuff. And if
yeah,
Max had said, I want to go with this wing and not this wing, it's not like Horner would have been like, no, Max, we're going to do this, because Horner would have backed Max to the hilt like he always did. So, and by the way, I would say it would be better if Sonoda had been finishing somewhere near the Ferraris, but given Sonoda is still way down the back, essentially nothing has changed. So,
precisely.
like at the end of the day, I don't know if anyone calls it out and says like, "Oh well, Mekies' team is doing better." It's like
Oh, they are.
Horner's team was
They are,
winning
by the
races
way.
at the start of the year, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll just elaborate on it a bit. If we are going to be honest about the when Red Bull becomes Mekies's Red Bull, I think it's going to be somewhere around mid next season. That's when the real impact would start to show.
Yep,
F1 is basically a sport with long lead times. Whatever
long
you're going,
lags. Yeah.
yeah, whatever you're doing today, the impact would be felt in 6 to 8 to 12 months. That's how the sport works in general, because there are a lot of problems when it comes to,
Oh, look
first of
at
all, when it comes
2024, like 2023 decisions in terms of direction box them into a corner midway through 2024. So there's huge
yeah,
lag in terms of direction.
exactly. And yeah, so until now, for now, this is basically Horner's Red Bull. The things that are going, they are basically autopilot, most of the things. And Macias will be the first to tell you that he's still yet to get his feet under the table. It takes time, and it's understandable. He's been there for, I think, a month or so. That's it.
Yeah.
So give him time. The real impact or the real DNA of Red Bull under him, it will start to become apparent by mid next season, not before that.
The biggest thing I think for him is going to be, first of all, there's going to be a lot of brain drain over the next season. As soon as like we find out where Horner's going, that's going to be his first big challenge, I think, because the moment Horner decides where he's going, Red Bull's going to have an exodus of lots of staff because they will just. There's a lot of people who will just leave to go wherever Horner goes.
That's
going to
also
be his first big
interesting,
challenge.
isn't it?
Yeah, and his second big challenge, I think, is for the moment, as when Horner was going and when Horner was fired and Mekies came in, the team was in a specific situation. You know, like they were trying to keep Max and they knew this season was going to be difficult. The problem is going to be if they start next season on the back foot, Red Bull, the board, is going to want a quick turnaround and start blaming people again. And that's where it's going to be interesting to see how Mekies deals with that, because unlike Horner, Mekies doesn't have the kind of the success behind him to go, no, you need to give me 3 seasons or whatever. You know, the board's going to be like, no, we're going to want to see turnaround within the next 3 months. It's like, well, that's not possible. It's like, well, then we'll find someone else who can. And that's when I'm concerned.
They can.
Yes, and no one can, but someone will say they can. And that's when I'm worried we're going to see the Ferrari revolving door start to kick. But we'll see next year. If he can hold that off, then I think he's done a good job. But speaking of Ferrari, should we talk about why Ferrari do Ferrari things? Or
Yeah, because as I said, depressing weekend, isn't it? Yeah, go for it first. First of all, your take on the whole toe thing. Should Lewis be giving? Should Lewis have given the toe to Charles or
yes.
not?
Would Charles do it for
That's
Lewis
the
the
end of
other
the
way
discussion.
around? Yes.
Yeah,
He's done
100%.
it for Carlos like tons of times. Carlos has done it
Yeah.
for him tons of times.
Basically sacrificed his own race in Singapore 2023 so that Ferrari could win one.
Yep, and
That's
to
how
point out
much-
as well, even if Lewis got pole yesterday, he wasn't starting on pole. He had a 5-place grid penalty. So it's Monza. You're driving for Ferrari. Of course, you help the team out. And I think Lewis is going to really shoot himself in the foot doing stuff like this because he's not driving for Mercedes. He has done,
It's not. I don't
He
think
is-
it's on Lewis.
but
I don't think it's on
he
Lewis.
should be very careful about saying stuff like that about the team, like not willing to help out, or why he basically said, why would I give a toe? I haven't done it in other teams before. And it's like, okay, but the other teams that you've driven for, you've done a lot for those teams. You have done
Yeah.
exactly, let me calculate, jack shit for Ferrari so far, except underperform. And therefore, when it's Monza, the home race, and Leclerc has a chance to be at the front, maybe you should give him a fucking toe, because you've done literally nothing else this season except blame the team, blame setup, blame parts, and not perform. So I think that's probably not a great one when you're being paid $100 million a year and not performing to that level. But especially when you're driving for a team who doesn't give a shit who you are, even if you're a 7-time world champion, because there was a 4-time world champion in the seat before who said one bad thing about the team and immediately got ostracized. So good luck, Lewis, essentially. Enjoy your retirement package at the end of next year if you keep going this way. Like,
Yeah, but
it's Ferrari.
I won't even put it on Lewis, honestly, because it's on Ferrari to make it happen. It's on
Sure.
Ferguson to make it happen. And
Yeah.
if he cannot, how long has he been in that role? 3 years now?
And he should have called it,
23,
yeah.
24, 25. Yeah, this is his third year. And if he cannot have a grip on his drivers, then what the fuck is he even doing in that particular position?
Oh yeah, both parties have major fault here.
Yeah,
I'm just saying Lewis
both parties
really
do,
needs
but
to be
no
careful
driver would be. Yeah, but no driver should be. I won't expect any driver to be willingly ready to compromise his own race to
Oh
help
no,
his
and
teammate, right?
he shouldn't be going, oh, I want to go out and give Charles the toe. Like that's
Yeah.
I don't expect that. But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is, when he was asked the question, he was like, "Why would I give him
Yeah,
time?"
yeah, okay.
Like
Okay,
that's
so you're
it's like
talking
okay,
about what happened after the
what he
quali.
said afterwards. Yeah,
Yeah,
was
so
that for me.
I think a lot of people might not be aware of this. So let me set the table for them. So what happened? Here's the entire sequence of events. On Thursday, Lewis was asked if needed, would you give Charles Leclerc a tow if it would help him get pole position, and he said no. No, no, sorry. He said yes. If they need it, they will. He will do that. Then, out of the blue, I think after the first round of laps that everyone had done in Q3, Charles was in P2, and he was less than a tenth behind Max, if I'm not wrong. From that point onwards, I I thought it would be a good thing that they'll if they actually ultimately you can say help Charles get pole position, because at least it will put him in a better position to maybe fight for a podium.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect it to happen because it's Ferrari, and it's just the culture that's there. And I think it's when ultimately I saw them come out and Charles was ahead of Lewis, I like, why am I not even surprised? I
Yeah,
wasn't even surprised because
like
this is just them.
Ferrari should have called it. Like they should have put their foot down and said like we need to give Charles a toe here, because
Yeah.
just because like yeah, in that weekend like Lewis isn't getting pole, so it doesn't like it's not it doesn't make a huge difference, especially if you can get one car up near the front. Like it's obvious. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. Ferrari should have called it, and it's ridiculous that they didn't. And then,
Yeah,
as I
okay.
said, my
Oh,
other
sorry.
thing
By the way,
is,
yeah, so just to sum up the whole thing, once the qualifying was over, Lewis came out and said that if something like this was proposed, he was not in favor of it. I think that's what you're referring to, isn't it?
yeah,
So once
he
the
specifically
qualifying was
said
done,
no. I wouldn't be in favor of giving a toe, and I think what he said was, I've never done that before. Like I've never done that kind of thing for the team in my last teams. That's where I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
but you were the lead driver in other teams, so you're not here.
And also, I mean,
Yeah.
you were a world champion for those teams. You've done a lot for those teams. You were the lead driver. You know, even at McLaren, like you had won a championship for them, driven for them for years. My point
Yeah.
is, at this team, you haven't proven yourself at all yet. So maybe you should be careful with those comments, because essentially what you're saying is, no, I'm here for me, not for Ferrari. And as we know, Ferrari doesn't really like that attitude. Like it's
I think
not a
there's a
great
lot
place
of,
to do that.
I think Ferrari is going through a lot of, you can say, PR exercise when it comes to Lewis. I think that a lot of it was involved in this particular case, and I think anyone in their right mind, and if someone is being entirely honest about the situation, no one would say that he did the right thing in terms of not giving toe to Charles. No one would say that, and again, we probably would have seen the results play out the same way. Probably Charles would have still finished in P4,
Maybe,
and
yeah.
Lewis would have been what P6, P7, whichever it was. The thing, it's not about where they finish or what happened. It's about maximizing the opportunity and what is there on the table. You, as a Formula One team that wants to win championships and seeing how close it can get, you don't leave stuff on the table. I think that's the laziness with which Ferrari approaches things. And I think it's just the random assumption that when they have a title winning car or when things are there, everything would magically fall in place.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen that way.
No.
Even, one of the biggest examples of it, it's Red Bull 2021. Before 2021, Red Bull did not have a title contending car from 2014 till 2020. But one thing that stood out for them was every time there was something on the table,
They
they
took it.
will not leave it.
Yeah.
There were a few cases here and there where I think Max had an incident with Ocon in 2018 Brazil. Daniel had a poor pit stop in 2015 Monaco, if I'm not 2015 or 2016 Monaco. There have been a few instances here and there, but strategy wise, even when it comes to making the most of every opportunity, Red Bull was on top of it. That's why in 2021, when it came to an basically a knife's edge battle between them and Mercedes, it was Red Bull that prevailed.
Yeah.
And that is, they drilled that into the DNA. What Ferrari does is it takes everything pretty much casually, and that's where it just doesn't work for them. It's
Yeah.
just the culture here, and again, Lewis has a role to play, but I would not put it flatly on him. I think
No,
it's
no,
entirely
definitely
the
not.
fault
Yeah.
of it's
Yeah.
entirely the fault of what the Ferrari management or Fred specifically. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just think what he said was a stupid thing to say. But anyway, that's
Yeah, I just one thing to just wrap it all up, and I'd actually posted this thing. I think the biggest problem with Ferrari, the biggest problem for the Ferrari and Charles Leclerc partnership is Ferrari has a Max Verstappen level talent in Charles Leclerc, and and they have someone who has been a flag bearer and the benchmark of the team since 2020. It just seems that neither Ferrari, neither Leclerc realize the kind of value that he's bringing to the team, and neither of them are willing to put him at a pedestal where he should be so that he can maximize everything and they can pretty much rally around him. I
yeah,
think that is a big problem. What Ferrari has ended up doing in the last few years is, instead of helping Leclerc get to a higher level, they've pegged him down and helped the teammate and
yeah,
brought up the teammate.
yeah,
And that is not how you win championships. That is just not how you win championships. When you have a talent like this, I think it cannot be more obvious even this weekend that there's a clear gulf between Charles and Lewis. Both of them were in clear air. They were when they were, I think, once George pitted, and there was around 3 to 4 tenths of a gap between both of them. It's as obvious as that. And once that is there, it's on paper. You're fooling yourself if you're not backing the lead driver and trying to fight for championships.
yeah.
You're not doing that.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah. Anyways, what's
great
next?
move by Piastri on Leclerc, though.
Oh, wow, wow. Yes, I think everyone missed it because there were a lot of things happening at the time.
It was
I
Max
think
and
that
Norris
might be
going
one
toe
of the
to toe at the
best
front.
overtakes of the season. That might be one of the best overtakes of the season because there was no chance. I didn't expect to, you don't see overtakes in Lesmos anymore
No.
because the cars are too fat.
Yeah,
But at least he got it done in that
yeah.
particular area. Yeah.
Well, great
Next
move.
up.
Speaking of poor moves, Toto Wolff and George, you want to set the table?
Yeah, so in qualifying, George started the first qualifying session on medium tires, and to the surprise of almost a lot of people, he was in. I think he was the fastest
Yeah.
once the session was done, and everyone else was on soft tires. So apparently, George informed Mercedes that in the final run in Q3, he'll go on mediums, just try something different. Q3 comes in, he does his first lap, he's more or less, I think, P3, P4. On his second lap, as he's just getting out of the pits and he sees a red walled tire, at that point he asks, "Are these softs?" And the reply comes, "Yes, they are softs." I said, "I asked for mediums."
Yeah.
Mercedes did not even bother to inform him that he was going to be he was going out on mediums, not going out on mediums, even though he had told them and he had reinforced his point again and again.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
I don't know.
Why
And
is he
then
being treated like basically like a stepchild within the team, even though he's doing the donkey work?
I don't. It's been all season. Like, genuinely, it's starting. We've just talked about Leclerc and Ferrari. That is genuinely what it's starting to feel like. You know, that basically Toto seems to think, or at least the team seems to think, that the team is doing a great job and that they need their drivers to jump in or something. And it's like, no, the drivers are doing, well, one of the drivers at least at the moment is doing a very good job. The other drivers getting, bit by bit improving. But yeah, George is doing everything he can, and it seems like he's working against his own team constantly. Like, just constantly with everything, like the contracts, and the on-track stuff. It seems like he's constantly working against them and having to tell them what he needs done, and even then they're like, "Yeah, we're all right," And it's just, I don't get it. I don't get the complete underestimation of him either, because, like, it's George, Leclerc, and Max are probably the three drivers on the table that we're like, okay, if any three of those were in the McLaren, they would probably be Piastri or Norris, And Piastri's doing a good job at, I think, showing that maybe we're wrong on that, but we need to see him, But anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get it. And then Max or George Toto said something about Max afterwards as well, right? Like some.
Yeah, so here's what Toto said. Toto said, "Today, one driver made everyone else look silly. They really need to ask themselves what he's doing differently." What the fuck is this? is Max Verstappen a Mercedes driver, or is he a Red Bull driver? It's fine glazing
I
someone
mean,
who's probably going to go down as the best in
you can
Formula One.
say it's a spectacular drive, but that's really shitting on like your own drivers. That's
Exactly.
going out of your way to basically like, well, you know, he's making George look stupid. It's like what are you talking about? Like, it's just, I
It's
don't
may
know.
what where the thing is, it's at some point it is going to end up. We are going to end up in a situation where either, unless, by the way, unless Mercedes has this brilliant power unit and somehow they've figured out how to build cars.
That the second part is the problem, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
I can trust them to probably have a good power unit. I'm not sure I trust
yeah,
them to build a good car now. Like, let's be
exactly.
honest.
And unless that has happened, and next season they have a car that is a rocket ship, Max Verstappen is not going to go to Mercedes. And if he is not going to Mercedes, let's be very clear. I I think we are going to reach a point where George, he, because what's going to happen is slowly Kimi is also developing. He was a couple of tenths off George this time around. Not, the gap wasn't huge. There's going to come a time when he's going to even get closer, and then Toto's attention is going to move to Kimi. It's never George will continue to be the stepchild of Mercedes, and I think at some point maybe he should. I don't know. It's probably a good example or not, but he needs to follow Daniel Ricciardo's lead and find a better home. Maybe not go to something like a Renault. Find a better home and find a place which where he's actually appreciated and respected. Because
Yeah.
he's not. Neither of them are happening in Mercedes right now. He's basically, when it comes to contract negotiations, we've seen this nonsense. When it comes to just media scrums, it seems that he's a forgotten child.
Yep.
He
And
can't
it
do anything
just
more right now. He cannot do anything more.
it's just as well like the thing is I think I said this I think our last podcast was like Toto just needs to be careful as well because yes like there's a lot of potential in that team right now but it's
Yeah.
potential and Max isn't going to jump for potential if next year they haven't well he might jump but he's not going to jump to Mercedes for potential you know
Yeah.
so like they're going to have an issue where Leclerc Leclerc's dream is to win a title with Ferrari right
Yeah.
George's dream is to win a title, and ideally that would be with Mercedes. But George, I guarantee you, doesn't have the same kind of like thing as Leclerc does. He has
Yeah.
loyalty for what Mercedes has done, but
Yeah.
even like the things he said around the contract show that like he's not above leaving if a better opportunity comes up. And
Yeah.
Toto is in this position now where he's basically said like, yeah, well, I'm not really loyal to the drivers. I want Max, and we'll see who I replace for Max, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's Toto has essentially killed the idea that if he has a bad car next year, he's not going to be able to turn around now and go, well, George, you know, we put faith in you, so stick with us and we'll get you. It's like, no, like you didn't have faith in me. You know, like I'm just
Yeah.
here because you built a shit car. Like otherwise, Max would be in my seat. So why
Yeah.
would I stick around? And as I said, it could easily swing back to where Toto is in a situation where in 2027 he has Kimi, who hopefully is performing well, and a number two driver that he has to pull from somewhere else, and or he loses both of them. Like who knows? You know, like crazier
At this
things happen.
stage, do you think there is anyone who is, in any of his comments, you've seen him sharp praises at his drivers? No, you don't. You don't really see that in any which way. And they are, th th I don't think George can do anything more than what he's basically
No, no,
accomplishing in
no,
this car. It's
100%.
impossible to do anything more than this. But what you have in this particular case is a scenario where a team boss is just, he's glossed over this future where he has Max in his team and Mercedes is dominating, and he's creating another era with similar to what he had with Lewis. But you're not there yet, and you need to stop acting like that, because whatever he's saying, it's George is listening to all of this. George is seeing that whatever comments he's made within the team, the team is not listening to him. In short, once all of these things are happening, he also will have to sit back and think, look, first of all, this team, the whatever upgrades it brings, we never know if it works or not. Secondly, it's basically the fourth fastest car once again. We are back
Yeah.
at a place where we've been for since 2022. That's where we've been. if this is the trajectory and next season the car sucks, and by sucks I mean it has probably the best. I think it's probably a given right now that they have the best power unit. We don't know it. We cannot be sure
But
about it.
it's
Maybe they
the
do.
odds are on it. Look
Yeah.
good, yeah.
But if the chassis side is not as good, it's ultimately basically giving green light to George to actually look somewhere else. And I won't be surprised if Toto finds himself in a situation where he has a disgruntled young driver in Kimi Antonelli who I think he's just neglected right now. I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on with him. And then you have George, who he has basically he's been he could not be more explicit in claiming that Max Verstappen is better than George Russell.
Yeah.
He could not be more explicit, and that's the problem. And that you do not run teams like that. And
Do, do you
yeah,
think
listening.
Toto is? Do you think like because I feel like we've pointed this out a few times, and to me it just makes perfect sense. But like Mercedes have now for the fourth season in a row created a car that is unpredictable and subpar, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just for where Mercedes want to be, it's subpar because they're not like fighting for random wins. Like even Ferrari is getting closer to wins than they are. You know, like at points, like in Hungary, for example, right? I know that George has the win at Canada, but that was very like, oh, we don't know why that happened. We just happened to be
Yeah,
fast.
no one knows
You
why
know,
that
like
happened.
so.
Yeah.
But like my point is, it's been 4 seasons now where no one knows really what's happened, and they made a big change in kind of bringing Allison back and removing Mike Elliott, right? But like since then, it's been the same. Like we've still had basically the same thing we were having with Mike Elliott, where they just continuously were trying things and nothing's working, right? And for a while in 2023, it seemed like okay, they've kind of figured out what the issue was and they're working on it and whatever, and that's fine. But like it's now 2025, they have the same issues, and I haven't heard any big thing. Like it's been talk about let's get Max for 26 or 27, but I haven't heard anything about him going, well, look, Allison needs help with this, or we need to fix this in our aero team. Like there's been no talk about that. And I'm starting to wonder, is Toto more naive than two people who do a weekly podcast? Because me and you are constantly saying, well, I mean, if the engine's best next year, it's not like 2014 because they have to give McLaren the same engine under these regs. And at the
Yeah.
moment, if you were to bet on either team building a better chassis, it would be McLaren. Like McLaren
100%.
clearly would be McLaren. So like, is Toto just thinking, well, I'll get the engine next year and everything will go back to the way it was? Because that seems really naive, and I can't imagine he is that naive. But it's starting to feel that way.
Unless there is something he knows that we don't, in
What, that
terms of
McLaren's going to build their chassis for them, or like you know, like
or that or that the who knows? I don't know. I look, even if there is a scenario where he's 100% sure that the car is going to be good, and even if there's a scenario where he has already signed Max for 2027, you do not ridicule your own driver. I do not
yeah, it makes
understand
no
that in any
sense.
which way.
Yeah.
This was cheating on George, and I don't get that because George could not have he finished P5 in this race, and he finished P5 in the fourth fastest car. You don't expect more than that from anyone. I don't think you expect more than that.
To think about it as well, the other thing is like we were expecting, because I was expecting as well. You've been saying it for a long time. I was kind of expecting an Antonelli re-sign this weekend to be announced, which hasn't.
Uh,
Been.
uh, there's a apparently he told Sky Sports that both of them are going to stay for 2026, and that was it.
But there's been
He did
no.
that last weekend in
Sure, but there's been no like final signing
nothing,
confirmation.
nothing.
So that seems odd to me that it's dragging on. Like we're in September now. We're past Monza. Monza would have been the ideal time to announce Kimi at least. You know, it
What I had heard was Kimi was going to get a 2+1, and I'd heard that during Imola, Miami, something like that. At that point, I'd heard that this was in the works. Since then, it's been radio silence, but it's been a bit weird on all sides. And yeah, I don't
it
know.
could simply be the case that George has basically flat out said I'm not signing a 1+1. Like I'd rather leave the team than sign a 1+1, and maybe.
Yeah, but Toto has said that George will be driving for 2026.
Sure, he has, but like things could.
George hasn't.
Alpine said Oscar Piastri will be driving in 2023.
Yeah, but
so. you know, like shit happens. But like, no, my point is just, I wonder, has he said that kind of prematurely? And George said, "I'm not signing a 1+1," and now he's in a bit of a shitty situation where he's like, I have to make a decision because either George signs a 2+1 or I get Kimi on a 1+1, and it's made things a bit like, because we said before, this whole Max situation could have caused a bit of an issue for him because he's alienated not one but two of his drivers who probably are asking questions. Like, even if Kimi's like, well, look, I'll stay at the team, I'm a new guy, I have a lot to prove. Surely Kimi's dad and management team are like, well, we don't really have huge confidence in what you're doing at the minute, and maybe it's set the contracts back a bit because you've got two drivers that a lot of other teams would go for. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
And if you're thinking that Kimi Antonelli, and again, the kind of hate Kimi Antonelli gets right now, it's a bit weird, but it's understandable. People don't look into the details. He's doing, he's he's doing what I think I expected of him. Because you have to understand that if you have to keep a barometer or someone you can compare him to, it's probably Oscar. And Oscar's first season with McLaren, with Lando in the other car, it wasn't stellar. It was fine, but it wasn't stellar. Kimi is there and thereabouts. Kimi has a podium. Oscar had his podium in his first season. Oscar had a pole position and a sprint win as well. Kimi might have that in the next state races. We don't know yet. The problem is the expectation and reality is quite different when it comes to the ground effect era.
Yeah.
People, ground effect era, I think it is probably the first era where it seems that experience is the most important thing, and experience in a particular car is the most important thing. I think in every particular case we've seen that this season. Sainz, Lewis, Hulkenberg, Ocon, all these guys have been struggling because of that. But yeah, that's where I'm just bewildered by the way Toto has gone about handling George, and it is so surprising for me because I've seen the complete inverse of it when it came to Lewis, and I thought George would get a better deal or better treatment, which he's not getting in any which way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
Let's see.
just
Let's see.
weird. So that's the top four teams. Now let's jump to the midfield and let's just run through them. Because first of all, we always talk. I think Alonso started the whole thing about the most unlucky driver in Formula One. I think he called himself the unluckiest driver in Formula One, and I think he would have gotten that award this race as well because he was well on his way to finish P7, but then
The suspension gave away. Yeah.
which is so weird because car's suspension going off at that particular corner after the Ascari is a bit strange, but
Yeah.
that's the Aston Martin for you. But then again, you can also talk about Nico Hülkenberg not even getting to start the race.
Yeah.
It's basically these two drivers fighting for who is the unluckiest driver, and one driver trying to trump the other. So
Carlos Sainz is in that mix as well. Just like a run of bad luck.
he sounds like someone who is getting frustrated by the kind of luck he's had in the last couple of seasons. He was just dropped out of nowhere by Ferrari last year when he thought he was about to sign an extension, and he's come to Williams and he's been, I won't say he is bad. I won't even say that his performances are not at the level one expects because he again outqualified Albon. It's just that he started the race on mediums and Albon on hards, and it worked perfectly for Albon and it worked like shit for Carlos. Maybe one day the luck would change, and I think that's all I can say about Carlos because I think the performances are there now. The pace is there. He's right on Albon's level. There's literally nothing to choose between the two.
Yeah.
Once the luck sorts itself out, I think both of them are going to be very, very neck and neck to each other.
I hope he's just doing what Alonso's doing and just getting all the bad luck out of the way this year.
I mean, Alonso has had what, 11, 12 years. He's still.
That's the problem, yeah. But
You never know when the run ends, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, finally, just to sum it up, what's your view about okay, there were two penalties that basically they ground my gears like anything. The first was the Esteban Ocon penalty where he was going straight, and he was penalized for driving the other driver off, even though the track moves like this.
Yeah.
So on the very first lap, it was turn 1, 2, 3. I think it's turn 3 or turn 4. After the parabolic, it's the
Curva
parabolic, or
Grande.
what is it?
No,
Cover
yeah,
grande.
yeah.
Yeah, parabolic is at the end of the lap. So at that particular point, Ocon is given a one penalty point and a 5 second penalty. And then the Carlos Sainz Oliver Behrman incident. What the fuck was that? How is Ollie Behrman given a penalty for that one? Where is he supposed to go?
Yeah, I don't know. Like this, but this is the problem. Like it's these regulations are so prescriptive, and as per the regulations, Behrman deserved a penalty there, even though, as you said, like there's nowhere for him to go. So, as per the strict writing of the regulations, it's like, well, he has to make sure that Carlos Sainz is able to freely kind of move around there. It's like, sure, but physics dictate I have a fucking car. Like I can't just move. What am I
Disappear.
doing? Like braking and moving onto the grass? Like what's the deal here? This is the problem with these prescriptive regulations. It's just so ridiculous. And Max actually called it out as well at the start of the race, the prescriptive regulations. Not exactly, but when he basically said, like he moved over, or sorry, he kept going straight, and like basically, as you said, the track curves coming into turn one. And fair play to Norris, he kept his foot in and went through the grass, which was impressive. Like, people say Norris can't race. I thought that was pretty racy. But then, basically he got into a position where he was ahead and he didn't have to leave Max room, and he made it pretty tight, and Max just decided to bail out, which Max tried to do at Jeddah as well, and it went against him. Max seemingly still not understanding the new driving rules, but he said he just let off the brakes there, and I was like, yep. And it's what I've been saying since last year. When you make the rules this prescriptive, immediately the drivers just know, okay, well, it doesn't matter what I do, as long as I stay in track, I can let off the brakes and just run him out of road, and it's fully legal under the regulations. And we called it out from Austin last year to now, and people
we've been
love to
shouting
go
about it, and
people love to go, it works fine as long as their driver is getting the benefit of it. But
now
then
when it
play-
isn't, FIA is
places
biased.
like Jeddah and here, it's like, no, these rules are ridiculous. Like the FIA is biased against it. It's like, but yeah, Max was like, he just let off the brakes, and it's like, yeah, you're allowed to do that. Like as long as you can make the corner,
The
you can do
answer,
that.
the answer should have been remember Austin.
Yeah, exactly.
That should have been the answer. Remember
But, like,
Austin. What were you doing?
Yeah,
You're doing
exactly.
exactly the same thing. Funny when it happens to you.
It's just
It's
yeah.
the problem is now, and I had not noticed it. Ollie Behrman is at 10 penalty points, and he's
Oh,
gathered
shit,
it within
right.
the last 4 months. I
Fuck.
think there were 2 that he picked up in Brazil last season. Other than that, everything right now. Like, what the fuck is going on? This way, and it wasn't his fault either. I don't think it was his fault in any which way. I
So
what
what's
he
everyone's penalty points on? So
what?
I'm just trying to see what penalty points. So Lando's on 3, right?
Yeah.
Lando's on 3.
Lando's on 3, Max is on 9, Oscar is on 1 or 2.
Is
Lewis
Max
is
still
at
on 9?
0.
Is he?
Yeah. He'll be at 9 until what? Which race was it?
October 27th.
Mexico.
Yeah. So he's got another. How many more races
Mexico.
before they're gone?
Plenty. There are still a few.
Yeah. Still October 27th. So he's got until blah, 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 blah. I'll tell you right now.
3-4 races.
He's got until the end of the Mexico Grand Prix not to get 3 penalty points, which.
Yeah.
So it's what, 4 more races? Yeah. That's right. That could easily.
I mean,
happen.
he's done it for what? I think he's been on this particular.
He's been on good behavior for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. He'll stick it out. My worry is with Ollie Behrman because he drives in the midfield, and I saw
How does
10 seconds
Alonso have
penalty.
0 penalty points? I just noticed that.
I mean, the car breaks. What can he do?
Yeah, that's true.
That's what his season has been. The car has broken so many times. And then there will be one idiot who will come up and say, just look at the points. Lance Stroll has more points than Fernando Alonso. And yeah, you don't want
Yeah, so
races.
Ollie
That's the
has
problem.
10 penalty points until he gets rid of 2 of them in November.
Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. Which
He's in huge. I mean, first of all, I hope he doesn't overtake under red flag conditions because he's done it twice now.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be a big issue. But
Who
How?
replaces him if
It's.
that happens? Is it Magnussen or?
I mean, that's the Haas legacy, right? The
Yeah,
Haas
yeah,
try. Ollie Behrman basically was the person who replaced Magnussen when he was
yeah, yeah.
banned.
That's why it'd be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jesus.
it's so it's oh god. The problem is not even that. The thing is something like this, it sticks to your name. It's you get branded as a bit of a crash kid, and
Yeah.
that is something you don't want attached to your name,
Mm.
at least for a lot of drivers. I mean, when I think it was DC who was talking about it, and he
Yeah.
said something similar where he said that you don't want that tag attached to you because that stays, and that stays with the teams in future negotiations and everything, and you don't want that in any which way. Even though you might not be, even though the crashes might not be your fault in any which way. But yeah, that's just how teams work. His best line was, you'd be surprised to know, but teams are not as diligent when it comes to searching how the driver is performing or which conditions he's done. Sometimes they just look at the results. Yeah, he's he's probably talking about helmet Marco, which, which would be just par for the course.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that's about it when it comes to the race, right? Now let's
Yeah.
jump into the
Just to point out,
questions.
Colapinto did a great job today starting. He started from the
Yeah,
pit lane, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I
He's did
think
a
so.
pretty. To be fair, did a pretty good. The last couple of races, he's actually been doing okay.
More or less on the same level as
As Gasly.
Gasly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is good. Like
yeah,
that,
100%.
if he can do that for the rest of the season, then that at least
There were
gives him some
rumors that he
chance.
was going to be replaced,
Yeah,
but I think those rumors have somewhat subsided. Maybe
I
they'll
think
bounce back again.
if this was any other team, I think they'd be like, look, the car is so shit. It doesn't really matter at the minute. You
Yeah,
know,
but it's
like
Flavio's team.
that's the problem. Yeah, but I think if he can keep being this close to Gasly every weekend, then I think like that's a, that should be enough because they've got so few options now for next year.
They're
So
talking to
that's
Alex Dunn,
right. Well,
so
that
that's
yeah, that would be
that's
well.
one,
Let's see.
and yeah, they're also talking to. There's one more driver. I'm forgetting his name. Yeah. Anyways, by the way, Gasly signed up until 2028.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know. He likes Spain or something.
yeah. Right. Let's jump into questions.
Yeah. So you're looking at the Twitter ones.
Yeah, and
Okay,
you're
I've
on
got
YouTube, right?
yeah. So let's start
Jump.
with Twitter first.
Okay, so Sai Krishna says, "Did Max have the fastest car this weekend?"
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
I mean, the thing is, the McLaren. I reckon the McLaren was very, very close because the McLaren was definitely better
Nope.
through.
Nope.
It was better through the turns, like through sector 2.
Max
But
pulled out
over the
roughly
course of the lap.
3 to 4 tenths per lap in the first 20-25 laps, and you cannot and you shouldn't be able to do that unless your car is faster. And anyone who tells you otherwise
At
is
this,
just wrong.
yeah, this isn't especially because this isn't Monaco. Like most of this is straight line speed, so like it's the driver. The driver has a big effect here, or it has a big effect like every track, but it's much less here than it is in like Monaco or Hungary or anywhere like that. It's
Yeah.
a lot of it is just
Singapore.
it's the exits of the corners. You have to get the exits right so you can keep the foot down. If you fuck those up, you obviously hurt yourself quite a bit. But yeah, so yeah, probably was the fastest car this weekend.
Yeah.
I think it was close.
By some distance. Red Bull was dominant. I'd say Red Bull was dominant here because 3 to 4 tenths is that's McLaren.
So what
That's
you're
the
saying
rate
is
at
they
which
should keep
McLaren
Laurent
works.
Mekies on now for the next 6 to 7 years, right? That's what you're saying.
They should keep Pierre Vache for sure. I don't at least for now.
I'm just asking because Skidmark says, is Laurent Mekies the second coming of John Todd? Some section of F1 fandom is making it seem like he's done bits, but I think otherwise. Yeah, I think we've already kind of answered this one in that like we don't really
Skidmark
think,
is correct.
yeah, like I don't think he's done much yet, basically, right?
Exactly.
He's very much like he's been there a month. Like,
Give him
yeah,
time.
yeah, give him time and give the board time to get involved.
I think the biggest
Um,
example of not jumping, sorry, just to
No,
circle
you're
it
good.
up. The biggest example is Ayoko Matsu. Last season, he was literally treated like Caesar, that who's someone who's been a savior of Haas. Just look at where Haas is right now. It's P9 in the championship. This is the first year where he basically had all the input and everything to build a car, and that should tell you everything. when it comes to judging people too soon. Not that he's doing a bad job, but this is the limited resources with which he can
Yeah,
work.
yeah. Sai has another one here. So there's a couple from Sai and Skidmark. This guy says, does Stella's explanation make any sense? Is this Zach's doing, and has Norris lost the edge again? My answer on the three of these is, I didn't see Stella's explanation, but I'm going to assume it didn't make any sense. Maybe you saw that.
No, it was um, kind of made sense in the in. So what he said that the Lando found himself in that particular position because McLaren triggered the undercut. They had to trigger the undercut because they were trying to cover
Right. Yeah.
Leclerc. The problem is, and again, I can see Sai's point as well. It's just that look, we kind of discussed it. They had to cover their asses because the thing is, you have to look at the other side of the other side of what would have happened if they hadn't. Because in that particular case, they would have lost Lando's trust, and I don't think they want to do that, at least for now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
And has Lando not lost the edge again? I don't think so. Like
No,
Lando,
no.
Lando was. It was literally like, apart from that pit stop error, Lando was ahead of Piastri anyway. And we've said like the Red Bull was faster this weekend, full stop. Like obviously because of Max turning it from an F3 car into an F1 car, obviously. But Norris went toe to toe with him at the start, and like there was plenty of times where I was like, oh, Norris is gonna fucking DNF here against Max, but he was. I thought he was quite good. Like, I don't think he put a foot wrong this weekend.
And I think it's so underrated the fact that Lando was struggling in qualifying in both Q1, Q2. He was behind Oscar. In Q3, the first lap, he was half a second off. And in the end, he was basically less than a tenth of Max and beat Oscar. And I think that last lap, it set up his entire weekend. Otherwise,
Yeah.
this 3 points advantage he would not have gained.
Yeah.
Even though it's minuscule, but every point matters. It's still 8 more races left.
Yeah, I think it was a good race by him. Skidmark asked, why is Ferrari? Yeah. And then asks, has Antonelli completely lost his confidence in the car? Why is Russell getting treated like a bastard in Mercedes? It seems like both Mercedes are being mismanaged. Sorry, it seems like Mercedes are mismanaging both drivers, my bad. Yeah, and then, yeah, I guess we've already kind of talked about all that, right? Apart from Antonelli losing his confidence.
Lost his confidence. He hasn't. He hasn't lost his confidence. Just the problem is the gaps are too small. Both of them were separated by less than a tenth, and I think it
Yeah.
was because George fucked his final lap. But even then, in general, the two were separated by just a couple of tenths. And
Yeah.
if Kimi, always remember one thing: last season, Lando versus Oscar, it was 24 in favor of Lando,
Yeah.
and the gap was around a couple of tenths. Just look at how the situation is this season. When it comes to Formula One and especially ground effect era, there's a lot of iteration involved, a lot of learning involved, and I think we are seeing that with someone like a Kimi, especially because he's battling one of the best drivers in Formula One right now,
He was
without a doubt.
400s off of George in Q3.
Yeah,
So,
George fucked up his final lap, no,
yeah.
where
Sure.
Mercedes surprised him by putting him on a soft tire instead of mediums.
Yeah.
Great job, Toto.
And then Kimi lost the places at the start of the race, but I think he did a good job. Skidmark also says, why has it all gone wrong for Carlos Sainz this year? Because so far Albon has been superior. Like, I think, as we've talked about earlier, the only thing I'd add on this is it definitely a lot of bad luck. I do think like he put himself into bad luck today in the race by cutting across Behrman like so rapidly. That was a bit of an error. But I think, you know, this shit happens. Apart from
I
that,
think he's getting desperate as well because the gap makes it look worse than it is. I think next
that's what I was
season
going to
we
say.
might
Yeah,
see.
most of the gap has been built at the start of the season, like when he was
Even now,
acclimatizing.
I think even you can say in races like Imola, the strategy went against him.
Yeah.
Albon ended up finishing P5. Even in Spa, the strategy went against him. Albon finished P5 again.
Yeah.
And even here, I think Albon was P7, and I'm not sure Carlos scored a point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He didn't. And then there's two more. Skidmark also says, are McLaren trying to sabotage Piastri? It seems like the team is clearly behind Lando Norris. And why is Piastri being a cook? I am sure Webber wouldn't like this and would give an earful to Twat Brown and Stella. I don't think they're trying to sabotage
Skidmark
Piastri.
is angry.
Yeah, I don't
Kid
think
Mark
they're
is
trying to
anyway.
sabotage Piastri. Like, I genuinely don't think they're like anti-Piastri because there's been a good few times over the last like 18 months where they've tried to give Piastri like preferential treatment over Norris as well. Like they have gone back and forth. I just think it's this stupid thing of them trying to be like overly fair to the point where it's unfair or stupid. It's crossing a line, you know. Like so, I don't buy the thing that they're pro Norris because there's been times where they haven't backed Norris either. You know, like it's worked both ways.
Yeah, there's a rant coming from my side in that case because I'm starting to get a bit pissed by the way, not only, I mean, look, fans coming out and saying that McLaren is favoring Lando or McLaren is favoring Oscar. I can understand that if fans are doing it. My biggest problem is I've seen a lot of content creators, F1 content creators, with around 250 something followers on Instagram, openly coming out and
You
saying
mean
that
two hundred
McLaren is
fifty
favoring
thousand, I assume, right? Not just 250.
250,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just
250,000
checking.
followers on Instagram. Yeah, I think that's a bit of a hint of which podcast I'm talking about. But coming out and saying that this is McLaren is openly favoring Lando. I think this is probably one of the biggest horse shit I've seen and heard. It's not only because, look, first of all, the evidence to the contrary is there. What is the evidence? The 2024 F1 season. McLaren had every opportunity to pretty much assign Oscar Piastri as the second driver, help Lando win the race in Hungary, help Lando basically tell Oscar to just sit the fuck down in Monza and not do anything stupid, which he did at the start of the race to Lando, and basically just extend it forward. And if it had done that, Lando could have had a probably a better chance of fighting against Max in the championship. They didn't do that.
Yeah.
Even you move that aside, you come to 2025. There have been instances where the thing is, at the end of the day, sometimes the cookie crumbles in favor of Lando. Sometimes it does in favor of Oscar. That's how you can say. That's how formula. That's how sport works. And if you are one of the people, yeah, I'm talking about a certain podcast, who has these many people who are actually glued and watching you, you have a certain level of responsibility. And if you're not going to actually have any level of credibility in the kind of work you're doing, maybe just shut the whole thing down. Because what you're
No,
doing
I,
right
I
now is, no, seriously, because what you're doing right now is there are people that follow you, and when you do something like this, you question the ethics of McLaren or a team. You question the motives that they have, and you have 350k people who are going to do the same thing.
yeah, yeah.
So maybe learn the sport, maybe learn how things are done, and not just put slop all over social media.
Maybe like we should put more slop out. It seems to work. Um,
Yeah.
Prototype X says, please go through Toto's quotes in Dutch and Italian Grand
Yeah,
Prix.
fuck him.
I guess.
No, don't. Apparently, he's blocked me for some
All right.
reason.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
he's got a lot of followers though. One.
How many?
One. But
Yeah.
yeah, he
Yeah, why
says,
the fuck has he
I
blocked me?
guess I don't know, but he says, I guess your theory of Max being signed already sounds true, even though it's not. Max is definitely signing for Mercedes, irrespective of Russell's World Drivers' Championship or not. We'll see.
Why is he blocked? I don't know.
Well, I mean,
A
I
lot
have you
of
blocked
random
as
people.
well, so it's just
Yeah, I
it's
don't know.
normal. That's all the Twitter posts.
Yeah,
What's
okay, let's jump to YouTube.
okay?
There are 12 of them. Lovely.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so first, Yara Days.
Okay.
Is it the car or is it Max? Red Bull did bring some change to their Monza spec, but seeing the difference to race and qualifying trim, I do feel it was Max that was making the difference. Jason?
Sorry, what was the question? I was reading something else for a second.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
basically
is
saying
this
that
Max?
is it the car
Max
or
makes
is
the
it Max?
difference. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because apparently Max can actually make a car go faster in a straight line. Yeah, must be.
Okay,
Sure.
so yeah, I'll explain it in brief. Max makes a difference in terms of a 10th or two and being flawless and basically having the ability to process things in within a race which not many other drivers can. He does that, but he's not going to turn a car around from being 7 tenths off just 12 months back to being on pole position right now. That's not possible. So Red Bull has made significant gains, and Max on his part has also made sure that he executes flawlessly. I think that sums it up.
Max can only drive the car as fast as the car can go. physics
much.
dictate that is the case. Because,
Yeah.
look, let me just put it in simple terms. My car has a top speed rating, I think, of 160 miles an hour, something like that, right? If I take it on the highway here, okay, and I do 140 miles an hour, and that's as far as I'm willing to go or able to go, and then Max jumps in it and makes the car go 160, does that mean that the car is actually only capable of doing 140 and Max drove at 20 miles an hour faster? Or does that mean that the car is capable of driving 160 miles an hour and I didn't get it to its limit? I think it's pretty obvious which fucking one it is, and that's how physics works. So I'll leave it there.
Yeah. Okay. Next is from same. Alonso is the unluckiest. Confirmed. He was driving so well today. I mean, it's between him and Hulkenberg because look, Hulkenberg didn't get to start the race, so that's also which was hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next, Bortoleto is actually heating up the track. I think he's a future champ. I think one of the things that stands out for Bortoleto is not what he's doing or whatever. It's what Hulkenberg is saying. Hulkenberg is saying, I can't match, I can't keep up with him. He said that he's such a machine that every time he goes out, he bangs in lap every time again and again, and he hits every mark. He said, this is the first time in my career I am teamed up with a talent that I can't keep up. Hulkenberg is saying he cannot keep up with him. And he said there's going to be a time when people are going to realize how good Bortoleto is. And if
Interesting.
he's saying that, it's something.
And Hulkenberg doesn't normally say stuff like that, so that's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's he doesn't give ground to anyone,
No.
which is interesting.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Okay, next one, CPB 1998. Are you shocked that Ferrari didn't have a bad weekend? It was a bad weekend. They finished P4, P5.
P6.
Okay, so it means it's not as bad as pitting for slicks on a wet track,
Yeah.
which is a usual Ferrari weekend when it rains. But it was a bad weekend. They should
Yeah,
have been on
it
the
was
podium at the very least.
P4, P6, Red Bull won the race, so they don't even have the excuse of McLaren rocket ship or whatever. You know, like this should be the one race of the year where Ferrari should be winning, and yep.
I think this is the first time since 2020 a Ferrari has not been on the podium in Monza. Breaking
Yeah.
new grounds. So, okay, next one is from Luke Wilson. Have these current crop of rookies shown how the quality of F1 drivers at the moment may be a bit overrated? No,
No.
I won't say that. But I'd say these rookies have been, other than Hadjar, these rookies have been paired up with credible talents, and they've shown that they're capable enough. But if you dig deeper, you see that the experienced talent is still the one who's scoring the bulk of points.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, points matter, and that's still the
I
criteria.
also
which
think
we judge
like
them.
there's 19 epic drivers and Stroll on the grid at the minute, and like these rookies came in against some, as you said, some of like best talents, and like even Antonelli, for example, it's like there's a couple of things we need to keep in mind. It's like Antonelli is paired up against George Russell, who is clearly an incredible talent, and also the other big issue is right now, for example, like Tsunoda's 3/10 off Verstappen, and he's like basically almost out in Q2. You know, like everything is so close here that it's just ridiculous. Like yeah. So in fact, like, yeah, there was a thing I was looking at yesterday. It was something I can't remember now. Basically, I was just gonna say like there was a couple of drivers who, it was like Jesus, they did a really bad job against a teammate, and then you look at the difference, and it's like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I think this crop of rookies are just, I think they're doing very well, and there's like, we need to keep bear in mind, like in the last few years, the rookies we've had a few who are like Latifi and Sargent and stuff like that. We haven't got that this year. Like, we haven't got that this year. The closest we've got to that is Colapinto, and I don't really put Colapinto there because yes, Colapinto's been struggling, but there's a lot of context in the team, and even then, Colapinto, for example, now that he's gotten on top of the car a little bit more, is very close to Gasly. And when last week when he was knocked out, again, it was like a 2/10 or a 10.5 difference. And that was the difference between Q3 and being knocked out in Q1. Like, so we just don't have any bad drivers other than Stroll at the minute. And I think that's pretty incredible. I can't remember the last time I've been able to look at a full grid and be like, all of these guys deserve to be on the grid. You know,
In Q1,
except for
top
Stroll.
15 was in Q1, top 15 was separated by 4 tenths. That should tell you everything about
Yeah.
where the current Formula One Formula One in terms of the crop of drivers is.
Yeah.
It's very close, and I won't say we have bad drivers anymore. I think
No.
Stroll is the only one who one would pick.
Yeah.
That is it. But
And even to be fair to Stroll, Stroll is also not an awful driver. He just doesn't deserve to be on the grid. Like there's better.
I think the foolish thing about Stroll is and yeah, I even commented on this because he's apparently very sweet with everyone he meets, and he's a very, you can say, an easygoing dude. But the problem is he's kept a complete, you can say, there's a certain level of opacity attached to Stroll, and whatever we see is on track, and whatever we see on track is not good.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why the image continues to get worse, and then he ends up in fucking Israel, which also screws everything up for him. So, yeah. Anyways, next up, it's why do you think we as F1 fans prefer a multi 21 situation over the situation we had today with McLaren's? Is it just for entertainment? Hmm. I look, for me, it's not even about entertainment or anything. I'll just put it this. I think I also mentioned it earlier as well. It seems that McLaren has both of them on a leash, and I don't like that. I don't like drivers. Drivers are the real superstar of the sport, but once they are on a leash, the team becomes a superstar. And McLaren as a brand is brilliant, but it's not a superstar brand. What
Yeah.
that does is it affects the sport in general. You cannot, either of the two drivers are going to win the championship, right? But you cannot call either of them a superstar, except in their specific, you can say, demographies. Oscar is going to be a big thing in Australia. Fine.
Yeah.
Lando is going to be a big thing in Britain. He'll have his own stand and everything. But they might not be able to extract the kind of respect that maybe a Vettel extracted when he just decimated the field in
I mean,
11 and 13.
unless Piastri wins this year and goes on to like dominate next year and
Yeah, but
continues
that's
to
in
go.
the future.
Yeah, yeah.
That's in the
At the
future.
moment.
For at the moment,
yeah.
if they win the championship, what's going to happen? I have a feeling that once the moment the championship is sealed, whichever way it goes, it won't be a moment of wow, it's the starting of something new. I just
Yeah.
feel that that particular feeling is maybe going to be missing.
Well,
this
also
time.
multi 21 was more interesting because Vettel ignored team orders. That's what
It was
makes
probably one of the biggest fuck you, and I think it
Yeah.
was a bit of
And
a
also,
retribution for him.
If
Yeah.
I remember correctly at the time as well, like the title and stuff wasn't on the line for him. Like he was ahead in the title clearly, right? So it didn't.
No, it
really
was
think
just the
about
second race of the season.
Oh, you're right. What Malaysia, right? Was the second race?
Yeah, second race, yeah.
You're right. Yeah, second race of the season.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I thought it was later on. I was going to say at this point, like he didn't give a shit because he was winning. But you're right. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. The thing
Why
is,
did I
the
get the idea
2012
that was later in the season?
because Malaysia afterwards went on to be later in the season.
Did it?
Yeah. Remember,
Okay.
Lewis lost the championship with Malaysia in 2016.
That's yes, yeah. You're right. Yeah, because it was after 2015. It was second race, and then it was this like third last race or second last race in 2016, right? Okay, that makes sense.
It was third or fourth last because then Lewis had to win the last three races, and
Yeah. But
And-
in 2015, it was the second race still, right? Because that's when was it second or third race? Because that's when Vettel won his first race.
Yes, it
with
was the
Ferrari.
second race. It was the
Yeah,
second race.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
So Vettel ended up winning the second race he had at Ferrari. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Lewis won the sprints. So if only Lewis hadn't have said sprints don't count.
Yeah.
But unfortunate.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, I do not believe that McLaren have grown from last year in terms of their operations. I agree. I do agree. I'm not saying that they are Ferrari levels, but they are not. They are not good. Whenever they are second best, they do not find a solution to close the deficit. If things were closer next year and we have 2 to 3 contenders, I believe this will be a deciding factor. Thoughts? I think it would have been a deciding factor if you had a team, if you had the 2021 Red Bull, because I think that is the golden standard. I don't think anyone comes close to that.
Yeah.
Other than Red Bull, if you remove them out of the picture, we don't really have teams that make a difference with the strategy. I think Mercedes still fucks up a lot in a lot of areas. I
Ferrari
think
never. Oh,
Ferrari
never mind.
has,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And Red Bull right now, it does well, but I am not sure it will be in contention next season. So
I
yes, it could be a problem, but let's see.
I would say I don't think they're the best on the grid by far, and I think it's definitely Red Bull still. But
Hmm.
I will say I do think they have improved from last year. I just think the problem is that there's still cracks there, and unfortunately, because they're kind of the only ones winning multiple races, those cracks just seem more obvious. Whereas when they happen to other teams, we kind of like we're not paying attention. You know, like if Mercedes fuck up, we don't really care because they're fucking up for like fifth place or something, so we just don't notice. But
Yeah.
when a team that's at the front fucks up, it's more obvious. And they haven't had that many fuck up. Like last season, it seemed like every race they were making some silly mistake. This season, there's been a few highlights, but they've done pretty well at most races. You know, so
Yeah.
I think it has improved, but yeah, I wouldn't put them as the best. Definitely not.
Yeah. Next is Central 991. Who do you think will be the next five drivers out of F1 in the coming years? My hot take is Sainz is out soon. Oh, five
Interesting.
drivers on the on the current grid.
Colapinto is an obvious one because if he doesn't improve this year, he's gone. Basically, like if he doesn't start beating Gasly, I think I think getting close to Gasly at any other team would probably be good enough given where the team is. The problem is Flavio won't see that as good enough, so I think
Let's
he's
start with
probably.
the old farts though, right?
I don't know. I think
Lewis,
Alonso will still be
Alonso.
around in 2035, probably winning his seventh championship or something. Um, I do think Lewis like could be one of the five because I think
Yeah.
if
I
he
think he's
doesn't.
I think he retires next season. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like because the problem he has is if he doesn't improve in 2026, right, from this, he's not sticking at Ferrari, and then like there's nowhere else he's gonna go. Like he's not. I don't see, especially now he's in his 40s. I don't see Lewis trying Alonso and going to a couple of midfield teams. Like I don't see that happening.
Yeah, but I
So
also didn't see Lewis racing in Formula One at 40 years of
yeah,
age.
sure, neither do I. But can you see Lewis going and driving for like an Alpine or a Haas or something like and
I can see him going to Audi.
maybe, yeah,
Because what I see happening is Alonso, if the car is a rocket ship next season, what's going to happen is Alonso is going to win the championship next season, and Aston Martin is going to sign Max Verstappen for 2027.
yeah,
That's
that's
as
true.
simple as
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So Alonso is either ways. I think Alonso is done and gone after
yeah.
2026. I think the same holds true for Lewis because I think there is one scenario in which Lewis stays, and that scenario is where Charles puts in the papers early in the season and tells them that I'm moving to any other team.
Yeah.
In that case, Ferrari has to fall back on the second superstar. Then they're not going to get rid of him. They're going to basically promote Ollie Beerman alongside him.
Yeah.
That's what they are going to do. These are the two. Then I also think that Nico Hulkenberg is also done after next season. I don't see him sticking around for long.
I don't think so either, but I could see him staying till 2027 if Audi is kind of doing okay but not great because they could see like kind of like the Cadillac feeling like oh we'll just keep the experienced guy around to help us out for a while. But yeah, you're right. Otherwise, he could be gone pretty soon.
Yeah. These are the three. Other than these three,
I wonder if next season Aston Martin the only way Aston Martin could change is if next season Aston Martin do get a dominant car, right? And Alonso wins the championship. It may be Max and Alonso for 27 because Stroll could go, well, look, that's it. Like, we've had the best car and I've been beaten by Alonso. Like, what? And if they're bringing Max in, why does Stroll stick around knowing he's not going to beat fucking Max?
there were
You know?
rumors that Stroll wanted to leave in 2023 and even in 2024, but Papa Stroll stopped that from
Sure, but I
happening.
think if we get to that situation and he's not winning, he could go to WEC, and start building that project up. Um,
Who knows what?
but
Yeah,
I would be happy if Stroll's one of the five. That would be great.
yeah.
You know.
I mean, it. I would have been happy if that happened in any of the last 4 or 5 years, but we don't get good things in Formula
Carlos
One.
could be one. I don't see it happening, but he
No,
could
I don't.
be.
I
I
don't see
don't
it.
think so. But I mean, I can see why someone would think that, like if he struggles next year, but I just don't see it. The problem is
Yuki.
everyone else is Yuki definitely. Yuki
Lawson.
and Lawson, I was going to say, yeah. Yuki and Lawson are the other two.
Oh god, yeah. That fucking second Red Bull seat, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, from Checo and who's the other guy?
Bottas.
Bottas. One of the two is also probably there for a year or so. Because if Colton Herta ends up accruing decent enough super license points, one of them is going. I
Yeah.
don't think Cadillac is going to stick with both of them.
It
But yeah,
again
that's-
depends on how badly Cadillac is doing, I think.
Oh yeah,
You know.
yeah. But they're going to give Herta a chance for sure because they are basically financing everything when it comes to him, which is interesting.
Be
They've
interesting
given-
to see how he does in F2 as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Not well. I doubt he'll do well. The series sucks. Yeah. Okay. So Red Robin. Red Robin 1122. I've tried to defend this respectful championship fight, but what the fuck? You're right.
Yep.
Norris gambled on staying out one more lap in case of a safety car and let Oscar box first. It didn't work out and they swap position. I can't wait for Oscar to let Norris by in the last lap of Abu Dhabi because Norris had a slow stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. So apparently Vince commented on it. Vince 1988. It's pathetic. Just looking back at Zandvoort, I'm shocked they didn't ask Oscar to retire the car because Lando had an engine failure.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That's the kind
That's
of
the
level it's
problem.
on, isn't it? Yeah.
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 Scott
We've already.
Scott Mansell, right? The driver 61 guy, and even he had the same thing to say that this this is why did something similar not happen then? Anyways, next is Grogan Son. Okay, so hey guys, been listening since the first episode. Oh, cheers, man.
Thank you.
I was late last week, so I'll just ask my questions again. With Red Bull slowly but surely on a downturn, do you think Hannah Schmitz will leave the team soon? And if so, where might she go? Jason?
Hannah Schmidt. Where, I mean, wherever Horner goes could be an option. Ferrari could use Hannah Schmidt badly, but I don't see her going there. I don't know. McLaren or Aston could be a good fit, right? Aston is one that's probably looking at ex-Red Bull staff quite a bit because Newey would know who he could work with and could give Andy Cowell some insight. But yeah, I mean, any of those top teams like McLaren, Aston Martin, I'm adding Aston Martin because they should be a top team next year, but McLaren, Aston Martin, Ferrari, Mercedes, like these are all the teams that should be looking at her. The problem she has now is there's not really a way up again. She's kind of falling into that Jonathan Wheatley situation where she could be the trackside performance. What was he again? He was Jonathan Wheatley was
Sporting director.
so that's the only step up she could take. That's as far as she could go, basically.
Yeah.
And I think if I was Red Bull, I'd probably
She's
be,
more of a strategic engineer, so the
Yeah.
sporting director role is maybe not suited to her profile.
yeah.
Yeah. So I look the I'm not trying to demean whatever she does because it's very pivotal to where Red Bull is. But the roles in which you're talking about the strategic unit and everything, they are not your typical team principal or team boss loyalist.
Well, you say that.
They are more of a mercenary kind of people.
You say that, but there's
wherever more
a,
money is.
there was a race strategist who very much ended up being one of our favorite Jimmy Consonants.
Yeah.
He's running
Yeah.
Williams now. So I guess it
but-
depends on what her skill
But
set
both are
is
from
outside
very
of that.
different backgrounds as well.
But that's my
right?
point. It depends on what her skill set is outside of that, and that's
Yeah.
what we don't really know. You know, we'll have to.
No, she's more on a the analytic side of things. I mean, that's where her
Her strengths are, yeah, but
education is. Her
Yeah.
her primary skill set is and she's extrapolated that to where she is right now. So yeah, let's see.
she'd be an asset though to any of those teams, definitely.
100%.
Yeah, huge asset.
She might even stick to Red Bull as well, because moving from Milton Keynes to any other place, it still
Hassle.
depends, right?
Yeah.
Next up, when will Enrico Cardile be able to start working at Aston, and what benefits will he bring to the team?
He'll know what not to do.
That was what I had in mind.
yeah. That's a good strategy set. Like he'll know exactly what goes wrong. I think he starts in next season, right? It's not this season still.
I think he started already, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, really?
There was the reporting that he started the whole release and everything has happened.
Okay.
He started.
Let me check.
Yeah. Ask Chat GPT, has Enrico Cardile joined Aston Martin yet?
No, I'll use something even more reliable. Wikipedia. Um, he commenced work as CTO of Aston Martin from August 4th of 2025, so he's already started.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
There you go. What benefits will he bring? He's good. The thing is, but he's going to be basically he's going to be what Pierre Vache was for Newey at Red Bull to a certain extent, where it's
Yeah.
basically the next in line. Newey is in a leadership role right now. He's your director. He's not your typical technical. Di- uh, he's not someone who's going to be running the team in any such way.
Yeah.
So what Cardile is going to do is he's going to be the, you can say, the the point of contact between the team and Newey to a certain
Yeah.
extent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next, assuming Aston Martin has a good car next season, do you think that the team is ready to fight at the top in terms of operations and strategy?
No, technically speaking, but the thing is, the thing that Aston has going for it, honestly, is I think next year's probably a push for the team because there's so much that needs to come into place. The good thing is they have all the ingredients, and I think the best thing for them is that the reason I could see them falling down next year is there's still kind of holes and things they need to patch. But I think the thing is like they have Newey and Cowell at the head of this, and both of those guys know like how to select people and how to check what's going right and wrong. So I don't expect them to be the best operationally next year, but I think unlike say Mercedes or Ferrari, when things start going wrong going forward for Aston, I kind of have the expectation that those things will be fixed very quickly, like within a season or two, which is very quick in Formula One. You know, like if they can, for example, if they fuck up something in 2026 and they fix it for 2027, that's very quick in Formula One terms. You know, so
Let's just put it like this. Mercedes was never a brilliant operational unit, but it had the fastest car and it went on an 8-year dominant run.
depends on how much faster your car is, right? Operations
Exactly. The thing is, the
they're
priority is going to be the car. If the car is strong and dominant, Alonso will get the job
if
done.
they make a car that's a second faster than everyone else, like they can fuck up strategies as much as they want, basically, and
Yeah.
they'll be fine. You know, like, so yeah.
Exactly. Okay, next. Wins 1988. Last time on the Blatantly Biased podcast, looking at recent performances, we predict Williams in the top three and Red Bull will be lucky to make it in the top 10. I mean, he's exaggerating, but he's right. I didn't expect Red Bull to be that competitive here, but
I think
that's
I
why I'm
put
saying
Max
I'm very,
third,
very
by the
impressed with
way.
what they've done. Yeah. Question for casual. So for me, how many times do you think Colapinto will outqualify Lance Stroll this year? Okay, last 8 races, I think he can do it at least 3 times.
Who and who? What?
How many times will Colapinto outqualify Lance Stroll?
Oh, Lance Stroll. Oh Jesus. Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 times. It's because that Alpine is such a shit box. Like
Yeah,
it's really
because Lance is a
shit.
shit driver. So
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
Lance.
Lance helps, but you know the Aston is still faster by a reasonable margin. It is insane how bad that Alpine is. Like it's actually terrible how bad it is.
Yeah. The thing is, it's not that terrible because top 15 teams, they were separated.
Sure, sure.
Top 20 teams were separated by
Sure.
6 or 7 tenths.
Sure,
That's
but
nothing.
what I mean is like if you look at every other team, they all, even though everyone's in and around that, like Aston will have a great weekend, then Williams will have a great weekend. Even Haas has some good weekends. Like Kick Sauber got on the fucking podium, and Alpine is just flatlining shit like the entire way through the season. Like it's so bad.
Yeah.
Can
Well,
you
they
tell
are
I'm a
very
Colapinto
confident for
fan?
next season. Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay, flaky. We need C8, C7, and C6 tires.
yeah,
He's right.
agreed.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed, by the way. By the way, I do think we need to start shitting on Pirelli a bit more because they are responsible for these dog shit races.
Yeah,
Having medium tires that go on for what, 8. The medium tires could have done the entire race. That's how bad.
I
was it.
personally, I'm impressed. This was their 500th GP, and they've seemingly learned nothing in those 500 GPs, and that's an impressive level of stupidity.
It's not that they've not learned anything. It's just that they are complacent and lazy, and they don't want to make the effort to help.
Well, it's
improve
impressively
the sport.
lazy, isn't it? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next up. Thoughts on the F2 race. I thought Monaco was carnage and Lindblad just decided to become Maldonado. So this is from Ahmed Fabli 4133. You saw?
Nope.
Yeah.
Walk up
So I think Lindblad crashed into, just completely T-boned a couple of drivers. One was Alex Dunn, then the other was, I'm forgetting who he was. Not a great race. Let's just
Yeah.
put it like that.
Yeah.
Especially on a weekend where Marco revealed that Red Bull is talking to Alex Dunn as well. So
Yeah.
great job. Finally, Ocon with 50 plus on hard tires. Not cool, Pirelli. Agreed. Not cool. Not
Yeah.
cool at all.
Not good, Borelli. Not good.
Perfect. And
Cool.
with that, we are done. I'm hoping we are done. We don't have
Yeah.
any more questions.
That's it on X anyway.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
That's it. Thanks,
good.
guys. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, like, drop a comment, do all those good things. And if you know any Formula One fans who are not subscribed to this channel, bring them on. Cheers.
Create
Take
new
care. Bye-bye.
accounts or send us some Chinese bot farms. Thanks, everybody. Bye.